build investor audiences for small cap companies, retail and institutional. 33 years, thousands of clients. We are experts in messaging. National TV ad campaigns, investor webinars, digital media, reaching hundreds of thousands of investors. RedChip. We do it well, we do it right, we do it big. RedChip. Call us or email us today.
Recording in progress.
Hello, this is Craig Brailsford with RedChip Companies. Thank you for joining today's event with Jackpot Digital, which trades on the OTCQB under the ticker JPOTF, on the TSX Venture Exchange under the ticker JJ, and on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange under the ticker LVH3. With us today, we have President and CEO Jake Kalpakian and VP of Corporate Development Matthew McDonald. We will begin with a brief presentation in a moment, and then we will answer your questions. Users may submit a question at any time by using the Q&A tool at the bottom of the Zoom window. Before we begin, please allow me to read the Safe Harbor Statement. This call may contain forward-looking statements within the meaning of the Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995. All statements pertaining to future financial and/or operating results, along with other statements about the future expectations, beliefs, goals, plans, or prospects expressed by management, constitute forward-looking statements. Any statements that are not historical fact should also be considered forward-looking statements. Of course, forward-looking statements involve risks and uncertainties. Jake and Matt, please go right ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hi, I'm Jake Kalpakian, President and CEO of Jackpot Digital, and I want to welcome all the attendees to our Q1 2006 corporate webinar presentation. For some of you who have attended these before, some of it will be similar information that you heard, but for the benefit of any new investor, we wanted to review some of the same material, but also add more color to some new information from last time. I believe we held this in Q4. So Jackpot Digital is the world leading electronic dealers table supplier. Our tables have gone through a very significant transformation when we first bought the assets of this business many years back. Initially, the business was targeted for just cruise ships, but it was neglecting 99.9% of the land-based casino market. And we have now, over time, transformed to enter that market, and we'll get to the details of that. We believe at Jackpot Digital, we have a global Goldilocks opportunity where we have literally no competition, to the best of our knowledge, where we have dealers electronic poker. Now, dealers tables have become a growing phenomenon over the years in casinos. 5 to 10 years ago, you'd see very few of them on the casino floor, but you're seeing more and more of them, whether they're roulette, baccarat, and craps, and many other different casino games. But as far as electronic dealers poker is concerned, it's just been really Jackpot Digital that has basically owned that market, and we have an opportunity to basically have almost a global monopoly if we can execute. And that's why we're so excited about where we're going with this table, the trends of the business itself, and we'll get into more details about that. But our whole focus is to be the leader in the space, and we are that right now, but we'd like to expand our footprint significantly. Next slide, please. Matt. The electronic global table games market has grown significantly, but I'm going to pass this part of the presentation to my colleague, Matt McDonald, and he'll talk more about the opportunity and the market itself. And Matt, go ahead.
Thanks very much, Jake. And I want to start the presentation or talk about the macro picture before we drill down into what makes Jackpot Digital so unique and our opportunity so special. If you were to walk into a casino 10 years ago, you might have seen what's called an ETG or an electronic table game tucked into the back corner as a beta test. Fast forward to today, and in many cases, a quarter, a third of the entire floor is made up of electronic table games. And in some cases, even the entire floor has become automated. And that's because we're really riding what's called a macro trend towards automation in casinos. It started back in the 50s and 60s with slot machines. But the casino industry is so mature now. They've got all the customers they need. Where they're really looking for benefit is operational efficiencies. And that's where electronic table games come in. Tables like our Jackpot Blitz table, which we'll show you in just a moment, make operations much more efficient for casinos for a variety of reasons. And we're really, even though Jackpot Digital is a very small company, we're growing very rapidly, and demand for our products, electronic table games, and our digital poker table is really exploding. And you can see here, even though we're a small company, we've got a vote of confidence and orders and agreements with some of the largest casino operators in the world, including Carnival Cruises. We signed a master deal with Penn Entertainment. We're working on something with Royal Caribbean. You could see the tribal business has also been growing very rapidly for us. So a lot of blue chip customers, even though we're a very small company, and that means we're growing very rapidly in order to meet the demand of these very large companies. I'd like to introduce you to our specific niche inside the electronic table games world, and that's digital poker. So without further ado, I'm going to let very famous NFL football Hall of Fame Super Bowl winning coach Jimmy Johnson introduce what Jackpot Blitz is. That's our flagship ETG product, and then we'll come back to the presentation.
Jimmy Johnson here. I've coached championship teams in college and pro football, so I know a thing or two about winning. That's why I've joined up with another winner, Jackpot Digital. This company has already revolutionized the casino gaming industry with their dealerless electronic poker tables, and now they're at it again. Introducing the new Jackpot Blitz, a state-of-the-art electronic poker table that offers the ultimate user experience for players and boosts revenue, controls costs, eliminates staffing headaches, and improves the bottom line for casinos. For players, the Jackpot Blitz has a top-of-the-line 4K ultra-sensitive touchscreen with incredible card bending technology that replicates actual card play. It offers real-time tracking of player stats, bankrolls, player bonuses, and much more. The Jackpot Blitz has easy ways to buy in with cash or player cards at every single seat. Plus, it's got a place to put your drink or other stuff if you need it. As a coach, I hated penalties. Well, no delay of game with Jackpot Blitz. This table deals more poker hands per hour than any product on the market. Jackpot Blitz allows casinos to operate automated poker tournaments of all types, saving time and money. You can run tournaments non-stop, 24/7. With no dealer mistakes or disputes, the Jackpot Blitz has become known as the friendly table. It's more fun for all. Players can make poker side bets or audible to an ever-increasing library of casino games, including baccarat, blackjack, and video poker. The Jackpot Blitz also offers a bad beat progressive jackpot. Give players what they want, more action and more fun. So don't fold the winning hand. I'm all in with the Jackpot Blitz, and you should be too.
Okay, so you saw there,
I have a
apologies. You saw there, Coach Jimmy really spelled it out. We solve a real problem for casinos, especially after the pandemic. We all know what happened in the pandemic. Basically, all table games were closed down. There was no touching of cards or chips. And basically, all casinos closed down their poker rooms, in many cases permanently. So that's where Jackpot Blitz enters in. We put this on a trade show floor at the Global Gaming Expo right after the pandemic. and the demand was incredible. We were having casinos approaching us saying, how fast can you get this onto my floor? Why? They want to be able to offer poker, but as you can see in the red oval there, a lot of disadvantages to running live poker. It's expensive, it's slow, dealer costs. It's actually quite a headache to manage a poker room. There's a lot of dealers you need to run. You need to pay all those dealers. Players have to tip those dealers. So in a lot of cases, these poker rooms were just simply gone. Now enter Jackpot Blitz. We've got casinos reopening their poker rooms with an incredible automated product that deals more hands per hour. Jackpot Blitz deals about 55 hands per hour versus about 28 for a live dealer. Players don't have to tip the dealers when they're playing Jackpot Blitz. Players love getting more hands per hour, as well as casinos do, for obvious reasons, which is higher revenue. There's also no dealers, or no dealer errors. It's just a smoother, more exciting, more easy experience for players. So we solve a real problem for casinos, and that's how we enter into the marketplace. So you may ask, how do we make money? 80–90% of the new deals that we're signing with casinos, yeah, we're basically just installing the tables onto their floor and gaining that precious casino floor space. And in exchange for that, we're sharing in a monthly revenue. In some cases, we also do charge a flat lease fee because some jurisdictions do not allow a revenue share. And also we do sell tables, and we've had some success doing that in markets all over the world, including in places like Vietnam and the Philippines and other places around the world. I'm going to turn the presentation over to Jake to talk a little bit about some of the auxiliary games that live dealers on poker just simply can't do.
Thanks, Matt. So as Matt was showing you, if you saw it on the video, the Jackpot Blitz table really is it's a smart table disguised as a poker table, as several people have commented to me. It's very important that in this day and age, I've always felt that we always have the player engaged or stimulated at the poker table. For all the poker players out there, they'll understand that when they're not involved in a hand, which is much of the time, many of them, if you go to a poker room, are actually on their smart device, whether it's a phone or an iPad, and playing somewhere else or engaged, literally playing on another online poker game. Well, what we did was we wanted to focus in on making sure our players are engaged with us at all times. And for that reason, we have continued to bring an enormous offering of games and other features that we want to continually add. Just like your iPhone, when it first came out, it wasn't the same. You don't have just the first version. They keep adding enhancements and other features. And that's what we've done with this product. And we've built in bad beat jackpots and many other side games and features. And it's absolutely critical that we continue to keep this product fresh. And it does a couple of things for us. One, it increases our lead over any possible competitor. And second, it augments revenue from other sources that are more than just traditional poker. One of the things that we've focused on, and we're going to make a huge considered effort in 2026 and beyond, is building different type of features or games or side bets that can't be traditionally offered out of live dealer game. And that we have some ideas right now that are in development, and we're really excited about being able to add a lot more functionality and offerings that players are going to be able to enjoy, and thus not have to look elsewhere. So we have our own internal tech team that we're always adding to, and we build everything internally inside our company. So licensing is absolutely the critical aspect of this business, and this is where I want to take a little bit more time. As a product, we don't have any problems in having demand for the product. If we said to you, if you're a business owner, whether it's a card room or a large hotel casino operator, if I said to you, you can increase revenues, decrease your expenses, and eliminate all your HR headaches, what business owner wouldn't want that? And because of that, our Jackpot Blitz is in very much popular demand or interest for the product. The issue is licensing, and that's not uncommon for gaming companies. And licensing is something that, while it's frustrating in the early days of our business, which is right now. It also is at the same time helping us build a moat around the business. Licensing is absolutely one of the most critical aspects of any gaming operator, and it's a very serious business and takes a lot of time and money. We have been going through that painful process and those growing pains. Many of them are going uh, past us as we've been being able to secure licenses. And I wanted to explain where we are at with that. Right now, there's three types of businesses that we concentrate with Jackpot Digital. There's the cruise ship business, which does not require a license because you're in international waters. And then there's two other segments of the business. One is the tribal business, where they have their own, in many cases, their own tribal gaming commissions. And then there's the commercial gaming licenses, such as whether it's Atlantic, New Jersey, or Nevada, or in places like Louisiana, Mississippi, Michigan, etc., where you are dealing with commercial establishments that have to go through state governments, or in Canada's case, provincial governments. This has really been our main bottleneck and has taken much more time than we ever anticipated. Now, that being said, we've made tremendous progress over the last 6 to 12 months. We have now up to now 28 different licenses as a company. 25 of them are tribal and growing. We think our tribal business is going to continue to increase significantly. I think we'll probably double that by the end of 2026, if not a lot more. The tribal business is one that a lot of people don't understand just how big it is, particularly in the United States. It represents close to 50% of the entire gaming market in the United States. And we believe we will have a complete monopoly on that with our product, at least by the end of 2026 or as early as 2020, end of 26, but no later than end of 2027. I think we can blanket the entire tribal market, and we're very excited about that, and we're going through that process. As I said, we have 25 tribal licenses to the last that's the latest that we have. And now we're making a concentrated effort on the commercial land-based markets. We are in Quebec, and we just got licensed in Ontario a little while back. We hope to have our tables in Ontario. The tables are in Quebec and operating with Lotta Quebec. And in the United States, which is really where we want to make that other big push, is in the commercial markets. We were accepted in Maine, Michigan, and Mississippi. And we'll talk about those absolute opportunities in a moment. And we are hopeful to expect favorable news from the state of Louisiana any moment. So we do want to push because we have certain customers, such as Penn Gaming, which we'll get into in a little bit, that have casinos or multiple casinos in those jurisdictions, and they have very favorable poker environments that we believe will grow our business significantly. So the last year and a half, we've been really going through what I'd call significant growing pains during the licensing process, but it is coming to fruition as we have now 3 in the States, 2 in Canada, and we believe we'll increase that significantly over the course of this year. Recent installations, as you can see on the slide, are several casinos, and then as you can see, new licensing approvals that I mentioned just recently. I do want to mention there's several more in the pipeline, but there are a couple that are very close, particularly Louisiana and a couple of others, but we hope to have news literally any day on that. However, one of the things that I want to talk about and why we're excited about the future of the business, while we're frustrated on sometimes that takes a little longer, we have been building the business right, and we believe the market is ripe for great success. The reason I say that is in several of the recent installations, they've had poker operations with live dealers where they've elected to shut down their operation and just go exclusively with our tables. Now, sometimes when we get an operator, it's a mix between having our tables and live dealers. But more and more recently, we've seen casino operators tell us, or card room operators tell us, that they'd rather go with our tables exclusively, simply because the economics can't be matched. The HR is an issue, but just in general, across the board, our table is more superior from a competitive balance. And that trend, I think, is only going to grow, and why we feel we're very excited. A couple of the card room managers have basically said to us, the low-level game stakes, like the 1-2 hold'em, basically those type of games, they can't make money on unless they have our tables. And I think that trend will only continue. And we're very excited about that. And we were seeing enormous results from just very early results. We've put in a couple of tables in Jamaica that have done far exceeded our expectations. And we believe that's not just a one-off. We believe that trend is going to continue elsewhere throughout North America. One of the key things that we've also learned during this entire year and a half process of rolling out these tables in the tribal markets and now hopefully in the commercial casinos, which we'll get to in a moment, is it's not enough just to put the table on the casino floor and just expect it to perform. There has to be, just like a plant, you have to give it sunlight, you have to give it water, there has to be care and maintenance and developing that market. There's got to be some marketing. Whenever we are now working with our tribal partners and we give them a blueprint on running tournaments, which is a very big advantage that we offer, we're seeing very positive results. So those that are embracing running the advantages of our table are starting to see very positive results, and we expect those results only to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and if I could just piggyback on that thought, Jake, I've singled out one of the casinos that we're listing here, Wind River Casino Resort, which is located in Northern California. Used to have a 5-table poker room and elected to replace all 5 live dealers with 5 Jackpot Blitz tables. And their approach, as Jake has said, is to really, first of all, take a player acquisition approach. And what that means is they're charging next to nothing to bring the players in and play tournaments and get acclimated to the cash games, and just to get butts in the seats, if you will, and get the players familiar with the product. I was just actually speaking with their poker manager last night. He told me they're really on the cusp of starting to turn on their revenue now that the room has grown so rapidly, and the number of players that they're seeing returning that originally didn't come back from their live dealers are now coming in and playing the Jackpot Blitz product. There is always a transition, and we're there to assist. But these casinos, are now starting to pivot from being in player acquisition mode to starting to really turn on the revenue that we're all looking to see with the installations. I also want to just speak, Jake had mentioned a major operator of several properties all around the world. Really, I can't name their operator. We're in discussions with them, but they basically, that poker director said to me flat out, Matt, 1-3 no limit is not going away, but it's not going to be dealt by a live dealer over the long term. And I think that's really the macro trend that speaks back to the macro trend that we're experiencing towards automation across the business with casinos. They've already got the customers, but they're starting to drive those entry-level customers into electronic products as opposed to live dealt products. And we're riding that trend. We're the only ones in town. Nobody else makes a touchscreen dealerless poker, multiplayer poker table the way we do. We basically got this lane all to ourselves. And we're starting to see the fruits of a lot of work that we put in over the last couple of years. A good example of that, you can see on the slide in front of me, is Louisiana. As Jake mentioned, we're anticipating, we're hoping to see a favorable ruling from the Louisiana Gaming Board in the very near future. And we just wanted to outline what that means for our investors and for our shareholders as far as the opportunity. And then I'll broaden that out and talk about the entire Penn opportunity. But if you get an order from a tribal casino, you get one license from that tribe. It's fairly quick, and then you can install at that casino. Whereas, as Jake was alluding to, with a commercial gaming license, like the Mississippi license we just received and the Louisiana one we're hoping to receive, that unlocks all 24 of these casinos right here that you see, be it in Louisiana or Baton Rouge or Shreveport up in the Northeast, as you can see. This is a huge gaming market. It's a top 10 gaming market in the United States. It's a destination market. People travel and go to these casinos. It also happens to be very close to the state of Texas, which does not allow casinos at all. They're basically illegal in Texas. And so this is a real opportunity if we get the favorable result from Louisiana for us to significantly expand our footprint overnight, basically, by getting a license like Louisiana. I just want to broaden this out and have a conversation about recent licenses that we did receive as well. On our last webinar, we talked about the Mississippi license, which we just only recently received. And we're now actually installing our first field trial table in Biloxi, which is, of course, a major casino and gambling destination in the United States. So we've just unlocked the Mississippi market. That's going to be our first Penn Entertainment property as a company. As I mentioned off the top, we have a master deal with Penn Entertainment. It wasn't until we got these licenses that we could start turning on that revenue from that major operator. Again, Penn has 43 properties in 20 different states. So unlocking Mississippi recently, and we also announced that we unlocked the Michigan license. And now hopefully we will soon see the Louisiana license. Those three states represent a huge chunk of business in the casino market. We're very excited, and hopefully we'll get a favorable ruling soon from the Louisiana Gaming Commission.
So one of the
Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things going back to tournaments is the health of any poker room is, of course, the cash games, but they're very much supplemented by having a lot of traffic, and tournaments are the way to get them in. So you can run a 300-person tournament and you would need 30 dealers. Actually, you'd need more because some of them are going to go on break. With our tables, you can run the same tournament size and bigger without one dealer. So everything is automated, and it basically is self-piloted on autopilot, that you can run smaller to larger tournaments. They could be sit and go or collapsible tournaments, and then the players stick around and play the cash games. This is a incredible advantage, and what we're seeing right now is some of our smaller operators now leveraging this advantage. For instance, we have one group right now that recently installed 3 tables, and they're either now looking to go to 6 or 10 tables because they want to run tournaments more nonstop, and then have a few tables for cash tables. What we're seeing is that trend continuing, where people are getting acclimated with the product through tournaments and then playing the cash games. And that's one of the things that we offer as a product that is almost impossible to be. You just can't match it from any type of standpoint when it comes to land-based tournaments with live dealers. We're also talking to some of the larger brand names now that have very well-known popular tournaments about using our product more, and actually having an event dedicated just using our tables in certain days. There'll be more to come, and we'll be announcing more on that in the next quarter, hopefully. But tournaments are a very big, unique advantage for us, and we can build our business significantly with this advantage. One of the things that we want to do right now is take advantage of all the licenses that we received at the commercial level and focus on our Penn relationship and get those tables in Mississippi, Michigan, and hopefully Louisiana and Maine very shortly at some point. But as I said, we have done a lot of the groundwork over the last year and a half with the licenses, and we want to, and then also concurrently increase our tribal business, which is happening all the time. We get not only do we get new customers, but even the customers we have are now reaching out and saying they'd like more tables. So we're very excited about the future, and we're just trying to manage this entire process. And that is something that we are looking to continually refine, and we are doing. The tables that we're putting out, for instance, in one market, in their first couple of months, they were doing $5,000 to $6,000 in rake. The economic model is we put it on your casino floor, and you only pay us when you make money. Now, we have been able to get more pricing power and charge for installations. When we initially started in this business, we couldn't do that. But now, as the product has become more popular, we're able to charge an upfront fee. And what we're seeing is those card rooms that are running tournaments are growing and looking for more tables. And this is what we want to do. with existing customers and focusing on the relationships that we already have and continue to grow them. But I can tell you without exaggeration that every week we come into the office, there's multiple new operators looking for more information on this product. And we feel that by the end of 2026, we'll grow our current table count of approximately 60 tables significantly. I think depending on licensing and how quick we can roll out, we could double or triple those numbers by the end of the year. And it's just a question now of just going through that process. Next slide, Matt, please.
I'll just jump in real quick and try and summarize here by a quick anecdote. You see Rick Ray being quoted at the top there, singing our praises from Three Rivers Casino. A couple of years ago, we were at the largest trade show for gaming machines around the planet on Global Gaming Expo in Las Vegas. Gentleman came up to me, he said, "Matt, I want to introduce myself and just thank you." And I said, "Okay." He said, "You saved our poker room." A fellow named Rick Ray, he's his gaming director, came up to me and he said, "I want to reopen our poker room with Jackpot Blitz. It had been closed because of COVID." And he said, "You can go ahead and do that, Rick. I don't think they're going to work. I don't think the old guys are going to play them." And then he looked at me and said, "Matt, the old guys, they love them." And he said, "They actually prefer it. They get more hands per hour. They don't have to tip the dealer. The cards are actually really big on the screen. So some of the people who are in later years have trouble seeing at the other end of the table, they can see the cards and they just love the product." So I think that really encapsulates what Jackpot Blitz does for casinos. It allows them to recapture an entire audience that they know is out there and they weren't able to serve. So as far as how we plan to grow into 2026 and beyond, we're really looking to accelerate our growth rate. Some of the adopters that we showed you in the past slide, those were I would consider early adopters, and the product's becoming a lot more accepted now, and we're starting to be more selective and picking better partners, bigger partners, and that's where we plan to accelerate in 2026. You saw the licenses that we've unlocked: Mississippi, Michigan, hopefully Louisiana soon. The land-based business is poised for significant growth in 2026 and beyond. Cruise ships, we're looking to add significantly to our cruise ship business. And as I mentioned, we're working with a couple of partners towards that end. We'll probably have more that we'll be able to share in the coming months as we work through those details and hopefully look to add significantly to our cruise ship business. And of course, there's the launch of new games. The platform that Jackpot Blitz sits on, which is that beautiful 75-inch touchscreen, is unmatched in the casino space. If you walk into a casino, there's nothing else like it that recreates that social experience that players get when they're sitting around playing poker or playing blackjack or other table games. It recreates that social reason why people come into a casino in the first place. So we are actually looking to launch new table games, including a version of Ultimate Texas Hold'em, which is a very popular table game. We did beta test it and launch it at the most recent Global Gaming Expo to fantastic feedback. So that's something that's in the pipeline. Obviously, we're focused on expanding the poker product first, but we've had significant overtures of interest for additional table games. That's more business that we can launch as we continue into 2026 and beyond.
So I wanted to touch upon why Jackpot Digital to our current shareholders and prospective new shareholders. Well, it's not every day you can invest in a small cap with such a low market cap that is number one in its space globally, and we have an opportunity to grow significantly. The product itself, its time has come. Many people have asked us, well, what about live dealer versus your table? And one of the things is, from an operator standpoint, it's absolutely in their advantage to go with our product. But of course, you have to win the hearts and minds of the players. But that's what we've been doing by continually enhancing and improving the product significantly from its first iteration. However, one of the things that you also have to take a look at is the macro trend. Today, many people are now used to working or playing on an electronic device, whether it's a phone or an iPad. And that trend is not going to go away. It's only going to increase. Our product, people are already used to the digital touch. And that's why we believe we have such a strong future ahead of us. That if we could just continue to roll out and get licensed, we're going to see our product embraced, I believe, in all the casino markets around the world. And so that's why we believe we truly have a global opportunity. I don't want to stray away and do too many things. We want to focus on being poker centric. We want to give players the best poker experience on an electronic dealer's table. So that's why we want to do poker and all things related to poker. Yes, we do want to have side games and side features, but our first instinct is to make everything poker centric. And then whether they're bad beat jackpots or many other different features that we could add and make the poker experience the ultimate one for our customers. That's most important to us, is to stay in our lane and kind of just continue our competitive advantage of being the global leader in that product. It's okay if it's a smaller market than blackjack at baccarat, but I'd rather have the entire market to ourselves and then be able to grow it. Many of the larger companies have taken a look at us and said, we're very interested in what you're doing. We've always wondered why they haven't competed, but as they've told us, they've basically said, what can we do to make the product better? There's only so many ways you can play poker, and you've basically captured all that and you keep adding to it. So there's nothing new that their large bankrolls will allow them to do that we ourselves can't do. So our focus is to work on poker, build the best product out there, and grow a scalable business that I'm sure some of the bigger boys are going to do more than just kicking tires. At the same time, we're also open to partnerships where we white label our technologies to some of the larger manufacturers and technology providers out there, to the other customers. And that way we can also create an even larger moat by partnering up with any potential rival. So we're looking at it from a two-pronged attack, where we can have the business ourselves or help go partnership and white label our product and earn a fee on other people's customers. So for many different reasons, we believe Jackpot Digital is a very up and coming company, and we believe our best days are just starting. And if there's no more questions, I think we should turn it to, if there's nothing else you want to add, Matt, perhaps we can turn it to some questions out there.
Please do.
Absolutely, gentlemen. Yes, as we said earlier, to submit your question to the Jackpot team, click the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom window. And we're going to collect some questions that are coming in. Just give me a second, gentlemen. Okay. Gentlemen, how does Jackpot Blitz differentiate itself technologically and operationally from its competitors, especially those in the ETG and dealer assist solution space?
Well, we built dealers electronic multiplayer poker, and no one else is in that space. Now, one of the things that we don't have that we're growing, and that advantage is the real bottleneck, as I said, is the licensing. A lot of the larger companies, and it's a very onerous, complex business because you have to go through licensing, and everyone doesn't appreciate the fact that the larger companies like Light and Wonder are a creation of amalgamation or mergers of many different companies over the years, if not decades. We've just got into this business the last several years, and we're just going through the licensing the first time. So if it wasn't for the licensing bottleneck, I think we would have an enormous footprint already. But as far as differentiation, we just focus on one thing. We believe this is our lane. We stick to it and try to make the best poker experience. We don't have different products like the others do, and we aren't competing necessarily with many other players in our space. It's just us, and we want to focus on leading in electronic poker. So that's our big differentiation. But other than that, many of the different frustrations and challenges are the same.
Yeah, if I could add to that, Jake, as well. I mean, you mentioned these huge behemoths that are out there in the casino machine space, and I don't need to name names. I'm sure many of you know those names. So I think it's a feather in our cap as a small micro cap company that's just getting started in this business, just starting to get licensed now, that you saw the slide that showed our blue chip clientele. These are some of the biggest gaming names in the entire industry. And these are names that are signing contracts with us, demanding our product. Why is that? Because we stick to our knitting, we stick to poker. And really, it's actually an incredible, I think, a feather in our cap to demonstrate that these are companies with armies of salespeople that are fiercely battling over precious casino real estate floor space. And somehow little old Jackpot Digital has been able to get significant chunks of that space because of the unique niche product that we have that nobody else makes.
Thank you, gentlemen. What jurisdictions are currently in the licensing and certification pipeline? I know you mentioned some. Let's reiterate and then expand if necessary. And how do these unlock incremental market share again?
Well, in regards to the tribal markets, we have multiple tribal opportunities that we're working on. There's a couple that are very significant. One in particular had close to 50 tables pre-COVID. They shut down their entire poker operation and have elected to go with our tables, and we expect to be able to announce that hopefully this quarter, if not early in Q2, the launch of our a very significant poker room with close to 10 tables and hopefully growing from there. But there's multiple groups like that on the tribal markets. In the commercial space, we're looking at Louisiana is probably the first license or state license that we should hear from. We are looking at multiple other opportunities on the commercial level, but we should have a string of news releases in the next 30 to 90 days announcing several. It's hard to give you timelines because everything has taken a lot longer than we ever anticipated. And if I can say very frankly, it's that frustration is shared by any CEO I've talked to of these gaming companies. They all go through the same frustration that it takes a lot longer. But we are getting them across the line, and I expect to be able to announce a few more. But you'll see multiple tribal and several commercial gaming licenses in the next 1 or 2 quarters.
Yeah, I should also add, Jake, that the licenses, this is, I cannot emphasize enough how much of a big deal it is for us, for a company of our size to be now free to operate in the state of Mississippi, in the state of Michigan, and hopefully soon in the state of Louisiana. Those are big, big wins. I know in many businesses, the idea of a license doesn't sound overly interesting, but I mean, unlocks huge markets for us. And I should also add that we're getting better at the process. So licensing for your first license is very onerous. You need to collect a lot of information if you're a director or officer of the company and present that to the regulatory board. It's now getting better because we've already accumulated that information. So for future licenses that we apply for, and we'd be looking at several Midwestern states and some states on the Eastern Seaboard as well with large population centers. That process should be a lot more streamlined and quicker because we've already collected the information. All we need to do is submit it now.
One of the things, though, is people should realize when it comes to this industry, the licensing process, every state and every province goes through it on their own. Like there's no central agency like the SEC for securities in the US. Every state, even though you're licensed somewhere else, they basically make you go through that entire process all over again. So it's a choice of, picking the lowest hanging fruit. For instance, Louisiana and Mississippi, in specifically, and also Michigan, but particularly the former two, they have, close to 50 casinos, if not more, collectively. That gives us an enormous opportunity. And if we can just focus on getting a larger footprint in those states, and then also Michigan and Maine, that is a significant piece of business that we'll be able to do. If you add on to what's in the pipeline in the tribal side, that's why we're very excited, because I think we're going to increase our table count from the current approximately 60 tables significantly in 26 and 27, where I think, ultimately within 3 to 5 years, this could be a company that has hundreds, if not a couple thousand tables out in the marketplace if we can get the licensing and execute. And there's no reason why we don't get licensed. We haven't been denied a license from the standpoint of going through that process. We just have to go through that process, and it'll get faster and quicker. And as we have more cash flow coming in as these tables are deployed, we can dedicate a faster licensing or more resources towards getting more licensing states on track at the same time. Any other questions?
Yes, final few questions here. And since we're running sort of short on time, if we can keep the answers short and do
Sure.
justice, fine. But if you can't do that, that's fine too. You can just elaborate. It's fine. How many tables could be placed in Ontario?
That's a good question. I think that market should, once it matures, should be between 50 to 75 tables in Ontario alone in multiple properties.
Appreciate that.
And
Appreciate that.
that's a conservative number.
Gotcha. Are you seeking approval in Nevada and New Jersey, the gaming capitals of both East and West U.S.?
We have looked at both markets. We are underway. I would say right now it would be difficult to give you a timeline on it. We're waiting to get licensed in Louisiana and a couple other states that will influence, I believe, because there are the same issues we would face in Nevada and New Jersey. So the answer is long-term, yes. Timeline, I'm not sure. It'll depend. We want to make sure that we get licensed in a couple of other places so that we know that those same questions that we've passed and got licenses in those couple states I'm talking about won't be a hiccup in New Jersey or Nevada. But ultimately, I believe for us to be what we want to be as a company, we have to be in both those markets, particularly in Nevada. But again, it not only is it the licensing process, but it also is a question of financial resources. And Nevada is not cheap. We have to spend quite a bit of money to get that license. I know it'll be well worth it at the end of the day, but because we're a smaller company, we've been trying to focus on the low-hanging fruit, and we believe the markets we've chosen are best for now. But Nevada's ultimately from a commercial standpoint a very important market for us, and there's a lot of interest there and orders from there. But I do believe that the largest market is California, particularly if we can focus in on the tribal. There's enormous interest there. But initially, there's also a couple other interesting developments from the card room perspective that are non-tribal in California that we're pursuing, and those could equal Nevada by themselves, and it won't cost as much. So, we're stick handling the choices, and we're trying to do the most efficient way to grow our business from the licensing side.
Okay, we got time for one more question, and it's a good way to kind of sum up a lot of the core activities of your company. And I know you've probably gone over this in the presentation today, but it never hurts to go over the important stuff twice. Gentlemen, explain in more detail the revenue generated by each and every table. Thank you.
Well, the tables, we put the tables on the casino floor. In the past, we didn't charge a installation fee. We're able to do that now. Now, if you're a very large customer, we'll waive it depending on who you are and the number of tables you're licensing. But you only pay us when you make money. So we'll put that table on your floor, and we take a certain percentage where it's allowed, where we take a piece of the action from the revenue or rake generated. Now, there's primarily in the commercial business on the tribal side or on the commercial gaming side, our tables are primarily just doing poker, and we take a percentage of the rake. There are certain markets where we can't participate in the rake and we will have to charge a flat fee. And where we've got licenses or deals where we're charging a flat fee, but I think they're in the minority. The vast majority of our business is a rake participation. Matt, perhaps you want to add something else to that? You're on mute, Matt.
Yeah, just maybe for the uninitiated, non-poker, non-gambling segment of our audience, the way poker is played is you're not playing against the house. When you walk into a casino and you play blackjack, you're playing against the house, and the house tries to beat you, essentially. There's a house advantage. That's not how revenue is generated on the poker product like Jackpot Blitz. Players play against each other, and in the middle is a pot, as we all know. And for each pot, the casino takes a small commission, and they basically drop that in, and that's their revenue per hand. In most cases, if the pot's $100, commission's going to be somewhere between $6 and $10. So for 55 hands per hour per table, you can calculate that out. That gets to be actually very lucrative over a period of time as players are playing. That's how revenue is generated on Jackpot Blitz. And then what the casino does is adds that up at the end of the month, and they call that gross gaming revenue. And then from there, they will carve out a percentage of that revenue and send that revenue to us, Jackpot Digital. That's how we participate in the revenue that's generated for the table. I'm not sure exactly if that answers your question, but Jake and I have both taken a different approach to answer how revenue is generated on each and every Jackpot Blitz table.
Yeah, the other aspect is on tournament play. When there is a tournament entry fee, they take a percentage of that, of which we get a percentage of as well. So, on the rake, it depends on the size of the pot per hand. And on the tournaments, it's on the amount they charge for the registration, where we get a piece of the action.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you very much, and thank you for going a few minutes over time to answer the many great questions of our attendees today. For more information about Jackpot Digital, reach us at 1-800-RedChip or email us at jpotf@redchip.com. Visit RedChip's investor information page for Jackpot. It's jpotfinfo.com. There, you can view and download the investor presentation and fact sheet and sign up for news alerts on Jackpot. Watch Small Stocks, Big Money, RedChip's program featuring exciting small cap companies every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern on Bloomberg USA. And finally, join RedChip's next webinar with Nayo Corp Developments on Monday, March 9th at noon U.S. Eastern. Register for all RedChip webinars at redchip.com/events. Thanks again to our many participants today. And thank you, Jake and Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.